Good evening, Michael. Well, we like to start from beginning, that where we started, and at the same time, we'd like to know more about you, Cashpoint, and how we started our journey.
Basically, Cashpoint is a group of companies founded in 1996. We are Malta and Austria based mainly. We are operating in the major countries of Europe under license of the states. We're a compliance-driven company. That means we only do legal business. And we at the moment operate around 3,000 retail outlets and miscellaneous online betting platforms depending on the countries. That's basically what we do. And what brought us to Indusnet is just the fact that finding proper resources in Austria is getting tougher and tougher over the last years. And we had to do something to not stop our growth. For that reason, we have been testing outsourcing with different companies. And one of the companies has been Indusnet. That was, of course, after pre-selection and after working together with companies, with small teams in the Ukraine, Yugoslavia, in India, we came up with the decision that we make Indusnet our major partner for outsourcing due to a lot of reasons.
You did talk about outsourcing in different parts of the world. What was a key factor that you found out that why you want to work with Indusnet? Why did you choose us and Indusnet, outsourcing it in Indusnet and in India and Kolkata?
I mean, there are plenty of advantages and many things we had into consideration, of course. And one major thing for us is that we have been searching a company where we are not just a number. And Indusnet is of a size that is a good fit for our own size and what we need, and for the personal cooperation on a personal level, what makes many things easier, especially if it comes to emergencies or off the road work. And Indusnet is an ISO 27K certified company, what also was an important point for us, because we're coming out of an industry that's regulated due to banking standards, for obvious reasons, and that's a perfect fit then that we have a fully certified product chain and not too much extra effort in certifying a third-party company on our own cost. And the work that we have seen here is something where we found that can meet our standards, and for that reason our final decision was to go with Indusnet as our main outsourcing partner.
In this long journey of last 5.5 years, we have been working with various different solutions and opportunities. Which are some of the opportunities you like to mention and the stuff that we did? What are the things you really liked about those? So insight would be good.
The solutions we have done, I mean, mainly your teams are working for our retail product chain and our online product chain. And the solutions we have done is we have a new product for our retail shops outside now. That's a so-called self-serviced office desk for accepting bets. And we had some deadlines that were quite tough, and your teams worked on reaching that. Further to that, we had big improvements over the last half year to year when it comes to coding standards that we changed from Austria that have been fully covered now. For the online business, we have our native applications for Android and iOS that should be mentioned here, that are in operation also with some tough deadlines we had to meet. That's basically it. I mean, your teams have been brought up to speed to fix our issues, and they also tried their best, even if the weekend was gone in some cases, unfortunately.
We at Indusnet believe in 3 core values. We innovate every day, we love technology, and we create value. Do you feel that the solution that we did for the last few years did really impacted on these values?
That's quite a good mapping, I think. The love with technology comes with the job, I think, and that's quite okay, that's fully covered. And of course, innovate every day is a good slogan and will not be kept every day. There are weekends and some days off, like your festivals. But in general, that's quite okay for us, as you bring new ideas, you try new technologies that could suit our products. You introduced it also to our development teams on Malta and in Vienna, what's also a good fit. And yeah, we're quite happy with that.
So in one of your discussion, we were discussing about managing a urgent situation, a crisis situation. Let's talk about some of the areas where you feel that we at IndusNet will live up to the crisis management, and when it really need, we were able to support the business need for Cashpoint.
Yes, I mean, fortunately we didn't have too much crisis situations, but it's standard that sometimes things are not working as they should, and then you need a solution, and normally you need it quite fast. That's what I meant with also
Right.
weekends are in the pot if it's needed. That means your guys and your team here are trying their best to catch up if something went wrong, if a crisis comes up and the deadline is going to be spoiled, and that's on the good side, of course.
So when you want to talk about our relationship and how successful was our relationship, how do you rate ourselves?
The general relationship, I would say, is quite a good one. As I said, it was a decision basis for us that the personal interaction between our senior staff members and your senior staff members is working properly. That's also on work level when it comes to the developers, to the graphic designers and stuff. That's just a good fit, I would say.
Was culture and language a barrier anytime?
Of course, I mean, there is a small cultural barrier, sometimes it's a bigger cultural barrier, but we both have learned over the years to do a good fit for that everyone knows what the others want to see or need to know to do a proper work, and I think we have figured it out quite fast.
So Michael, you've been visiting India, Kolkata quite an often. So what's your overall experience about the lifestyle, the city, the country? How do you like it being here after every 6 months?
If it's just coming to the city, I have to say it's the food. You're taking us to marvelous places, and some of the colleagues say I'm just coming for the food. That's obviously not true, but it's one good aspect here, and also for the team it's quite nice to get an impression of India. That's important for us, that our team from Vienna also likes to come here to meet the team in Calcutta, and for that reason it's quite good that the food is okay, and also some fun locations there during the festival. What was the name of the festival?
Durga Puja.
Exactly, I will never remember that correctly, I think.
Right. In respect to some generic discussion, so you have done a very successful offshore-onshore model where you have an offshore team out here and then you have an onshore team, and they're syncing, communicating, interacting and delivering wonderful, amazing products. So in general, what will be your tips and tricks to the CEO, CXO in the industry, what they should do to adopt such model in future?
Yeah, based on our experience from a time range level, we of the opinion that it's necessary to give at least half a year, better a year, to let the structure settle. That means to do the standard norming, forming phases and have that properly done. I mean, it's of course taking a little bit longer with an outsourcing team than with an internal team, and you should show some patience there. And another important point is to have set up proper structures in your own company before going to outsourcing. Depends on the form of outsourcing. If you don't have your own company structures when it comes to coding standards, when it comes to the project standards, if they're not really properly done, if you're not, yourself perhaps not satisfied with it, you should go for a full project outsourcing and not for a dedicated team, in my eyes. That's some learning you shouldn't make on your own. That means if you have your internal structures properly settled, you should try to have dedicated staff perhaps that's using similar structures than you have, because that's then a cultural question. That's not India, Europe, that's then more having the same project structure.
Did you find the management team to be proactive and responsive? In short, did your expectations with the escalations work?
The escalation change, as long as we used it, and we used it quite often, sometimes even if it wasn't necessary, but it worked for us. I mean, that's the proactivity in also going very into detail where a mess happened if something went wrong. to isolate it and stop it from being repeated. And that's exactly what we are expecting to happen if something's not working properly.
So do you consider IndusNet as your long-term partner?
I mean, from long-term perspective, I mean, we are cooperating more than 5 years now. We saw IndusNet also growing into more maturity. I mean, it wasn't a bad point to start off, but it even improved. And from that perspective, we also see IndusNet, of course, as a future partner for our own expansion. We're doing a lot of merchant acquisition at the moment, what gives our own growth a new aspect, and we also will need more help from IndusNet in the future to cover our needs that coming from the growing markets we have to cover.